weeks down in the 2023 regular season, 6 more to go, and the Dallas Cowboys are absolutely cruise sailing. They blasted the doors off the Washington Commanders 45-10 the final in AT&T Stadium to make it their 3rd straight win, and a pretty historic win at that. That's now 13 straight dubs in AT&T Stadium, tying a franchise record of 7 wins by 20-plus points. The last team to do that, the 1968 Cowboys. Welcome into Cowboys Flashback as we take a quick look back at Week 12. Another game the Texas Coast offense was hard to stop. They took shots downfield out the gate. It didn't work early on, but it opened up opportunities for that run game. And just when the Commanders adjusted, Dak Prescott put the Commanders secondary in a blender. That's what I like to call mastery at its finest. The Cowboys had 25 fewer plays than the Commanders and still finished with 431 total yards, averaged 8.6 per play, and a perfect 3 for 3 in the red zone. We love to see that. And this defense was anything but bland. Deron Bland with the NFL record for most pick sixes in a season. Jonathan Hankins with his first 2 sack games since 2014. Also, Diggy Zewell constantly winning his matchups in the trenches. The list goes on. This team's made it clear they were bought in and have been since the loss to the 49ers earlier this season. And to get them, it feels good putting it on display.
Obviously, Dak just continues to improve week by week, and tremendous stats again today.
Yes, definitely. I think the situational football really stood out. The clutch throws, particularly attacking the end zone. But we just got to keep chugging. Keep ponding away. The run game. So that's something that you always look at and want to improve on. But I think the benefits of moving him, and particularly the red zone, the gold zone, and some of the situational calls, I thought he was incredible.
I don't know that I could just put my put my finger right on and say this is the why. As much as I've talked about new system, new play calling, we know what we want to do. You know what I mean? We know how we want to attack. We know how we want to go at these different teams. We're running plays that we've ran for since the spring. You know what I mean? Dressing them up different ways, giving different approach, comfortable, and honestly, credit to the offensive line. I mean, I think that's where it starts. The way that they're protecting, giving me time to take shots down the field, allowing me to extend plays, whether it be use my feet, extend plays, make plays down the field again after breaking the pocket. Guys are running to win, and he's flying them off the call sheet, and it feels good.
This Cowboys team liking the taste of winning, now 8-3 in the season, with the Seattle Seahawks on deck up next. But before we start breaking down that matchup, George Teague joins the show with his best plays from Thanksgiving Day.
Dallas Cowboys Flashback, powered by Reliant, is brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, and by Reliant, official energy provider of the Dallas Cowboys. This segment is brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys.
4.4 million viewers witnessed the Dallas Cowboys' 35-point win over the Washington Commanders. It's the 3rd largest regular season NFL audience on record. Seems very on brand for the Dallas Cowboys. Nicole Hutchison alongside George Teague. Now, very, very on brand, like I mentioned, for the Dallas Cowboys, making history. Of course, Dak Prescott tying Tony Romo's record of most passing touchdowns, most 4 passing touchdown games in a season with 10. Deron Bland, of course, making history with most pick sixes in a season. I don't know. It's kind of like getting very on brand for this Dallas Cowboys every week.
I'm so happy to hear that, but I was on brand with how many times I went back and had food on that Thanksgiving Day because, man, they were eating and I wanted to eat too. But I think we're really getting our rhythm now. Putting all phases together, and the offense is clicking, defense is clicking, coaches are clicking. It was a great show.
Yeah, I mean, you said something there. They were eating, right? Especially Dak Prescott, the big plays there. I think they had 12 explosive plays that game. I don't know about you, but I'm liking them being aggressive offensively.
Well, Dak is doing a tremendous job of just taking the vertical shots. Since week 8, He has 14 touchdowns on vertical passes. That is a lot. That leads the National Football League. And I want to show you one of them, if we can, real quick, actually, to Ferguson, right? He's right here. First thing you need to see with the offensive formation, there are 4 guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, all on one side. This puts a lot of pressure on these 2 guys back here, particularly since they're trying to play Tampa 2, right? That doesn't necessarily work when you have 4 guys on this. A lot of times when you see this route, especially when you see CD come up, stop, you're thinking a route is going to come in here like this. That is not what happens at all. So I want you guys to see how this unfolds. If you look at Turpin, right, he actually comes in, gets right behind Ferguson, then heads back vertical. Stop it right there for a quick second. Stop it right there for a second. So he actually ends up taking this way. You got another guy going vertical here and vertical. That leaves my man right here with problems trying to figure out what to do with his eyes, right? Okay, so when you let it run, Dak Prescott, clean pocket. What a dime throw on this Tampa 2 right over the guy's head for a tremendous play to get with those stats of being able to go vertical.
Yeah, great protection there from that offensive line. But I think a lot of people are doubting Jake Ferguson's speed. I mean, you just see him just sprint right past those 2 defenders. But you love the fact that Dak has so many guys he can throw to and get involved in this offense, right? Brandon Cooks, that's our next guy who had another touchdown. Love to see him cook, right?
Brandon Cooks with a cast iron skillet because he makes it hot every single time, right? Y'all don't know nothing about that food. I'm still in that Thanksgiving attitude here, right? Okay, so what we need to look at on this is play action, right? So you're starting to see all our linemen go this way, right? Running back actually comes across this way as well. Where it gets tricky is that our quarterback rolls out this way, all right? Once that happens, the defense, when you see a bootleg, you think that you're going to get this by the wideout, right? Because he's booting right. Well, these tricky guys, Mike McCarthy doing his thing, right? Let this play. Everybody's going, you're getting bootleg. And I want you to watch this safety here. I'm going to ask him to stop this in a minute. All right? Okay, stop it right there. Stop it right there. Now you can see this guy, like I said, he's looking over this way. Cooks has started to go this way, but guess what? Oh, they're so tricky. Coming back over this way, off of the boot action, it's over at this point, right?
Yeah.
Dak got a lot of guys in his face, but he's wide open. Another reason why we're getting so many explosive plays just all over the field. The guy's fast, man.
Yeah.
He can go.
Super fast. And that says a lot about Dak. I don't care who's running in my face. I'm going to throw this ball downfield and make the play. Love to see how confident this offense is playing right now. But this defense, we know on both sides of the ball, everything starts in the trenches. And that defensive line has really started to allow that second level to really play freely.
That's right. Dan Quinn and our defense were actually got a quarterback pressure rate of 46%. That means every other play, somebody's in the quarterback's face, right? So how do you stop that if you're on offense? You try to run screen plays. So what they do here is, well, first these guys try to influence. He kicks out, they got to take these 2 guys, right? That leaves one sole gentleman to try to block him. Problem is, after he starts to drop back, we go ahead and let this roll. Damone Clark and our guys are so fast. He actually reads this so fast. Stop it right there. This gentleman right here cannot get him. That is not going to happen because he's already outflanked and beat. Damone Clark uses speed, comes, makes a great form tackle, wraps him up, takes him down. That is what we have to have when you have so much pressure rate. You got to have linebackers who can run to the ball.
Yeah, Damone has really stepped up, especially in place of Leighton Vander Esch, no longer here for the time being. But I don't know. We got to talk about Deron Bland, though. This is a special kid. You love his instincts. You love his reads in the ball in the air. Just what have you loved so much about this Deron Bland?
Well, I have to admit, while I was sitting there having my 4th plate of food.
Not 3.
That's right. Well, there was ham, there's turkey, there's all kind of stuff, right? I actually got up and ran around the house a little bit. I was high stepping because I was hoping he was, because when we're talking about someone who can break on the ball, this is a gentleman that can break on the ball. The route concept, let's talk about that first, okay? So when they're in stack, 2 receivers right on, typically you get something like this, okay? So this is what is actually the route that you run. What we have to key on, though, is that this gentleman is outside shade of this wide receiver. So they're playing tricks on Sam Howell here a little bit, right? So if you go ahead and run it and you watch Deron Bland, he clues, run it back for a second, run it back right there. That's good, that's good, that's good. So I want you to see his eyes are cluing all the way back here to the quarterback. He's looking at him pretty much the entire time and just goes and breaks on the ball. Now, this is when it gets fun, right? Because if you play Xbox, you know you hit the right button, right? I don't know. And then you hit the X, and then you hit the O, and then you got people coming in, so you got to do a little stanky leg, something to make him fall down. Then you got to spin. You got to get out there. Man, it's just so much fun watching this guy, and that's why I was running around the house, because I wanted to go jump in the kettle, get some of that turkey again. So I went back for a 5th time, and I shook for the rest of the day just because that guy is absolutely amazing.
Can we run that play one more time for a second? Because, I mean, Sam Howell, that was just a horrible read by him because you have a guy open. We can play this right now. You have a guy open in the seam, and he makes the read. He's like, hey, I'm just going to test Deron Bland anyway.
There.
Oh, stop it right there. There we go. There we go. We can stop it right here.
Okay,
you have a guy wide open.
What you want to point to is this gentleman right here, is wide open. It should have threw it to him. But you know what? If you want to keep throwing the ball to number 26 side, it's not a good choice.
Not a good choice. Not a good choice at all. And I think he has a few more pick sixes in him. 6 more games left in the season. Hopefully we get some more. But we got some more right here on Cowboys Flashback coming for you right after the break. Stick with us.
This segment was brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. This segment is brought to you by Ashley, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
The playoff hunt continues for a playoff spot with playoffs right around the corner. The Dallas Cowboys actually in a pretty good spot right now, 5th in the NFC, but they have the Seattle Seahawks that come to AT&T Stadium this Thursday, 7th in the NFC. Seems like an almost should-win game, but it's more like a must-have, must-win game for these Dallas Cowboys. What have you seen from the Seattle offense so far?
Well, I want to take a look at one really important piece is Kenneth Walker in the way they run the ball. They like to run the ball inside. Quick highlight of him right here. He is 7th among running backs when they run in between tackles. You can go ahead and run it, and you see that once he gets downhill, although it may take him a while to get to the line of scrimmage, he can get through it behind these pullers and these guards. Look at that, very physical play. We have to be very conscious of where he is.
Yeah, most definitely is. But I think it's the receivers that are more so of a threat, right? DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. They've only had 3 offensive touchdowns in the last 4 games. So I think that passing offense is more of a threat for the Seattle team.
Yeah, you mentioned DK Metcalf. He's down here in this set. He doesn't have a whole lot of big plays with that, but typically he lines up on the left-hand side, right? But he's very successful against zone. So if you run this, you can see that he knows how to get to the open area. But we play so much man that it might be a little bit more difficult. And if he lines up, 65% of the time he's on the offensive left or right, he's going to be matched up against Bland, and that'll be a great matchup to see.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he's so big, you have to have a lot of guys to contain him. What kind of challenge does that bring for that defense, for the Cowboys?
Well, that brings a lot because this dude is a beast. Man, if you hadn't watched any of them, which I know everybody has, you got to be very physical with him. You got to be up in his face because if you give him too much space, he can cause some damage.
Now, what's caught your eye from the Seahawks defense?
Well, they play a lot of zone. And when we're typically talking about Dak and our success rate, it is typically against man and pressure. Right? And so in this one, I just wanted to show you a little bit about how these safeties like to disguise. He's eventually going to come back to deep half. He's going to go this way, right? And then go ahead and run it, you can see that there become a lot of holes that come open. There's the same type of motion that we like to use a lot with CeeDee Lamb and those things. As you run it, if you look up towards the top, there's the corner is in conflict. Stop it right there. He's got to look between this guy and that guy and make a choice on which way to go.
Yeah, seems like an opportunity, of course, for some more big plays. Hopefully we get a chance to see that from this Dallas Cowboys offense. CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Jake Ferg all getting involved. But we've got more right here on Cowboys Flashback. Savannah Humoller joins the set.
This segment was brought to you by Ashley, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
All eyes on the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day, and they delivered with a 45-10 win over the Washington Commanders to move to 8-3 in the season. Nicole Hutchinson alongside Savannah Humoller. Listen, this is now time to turn the page. It's good vibes at the Star. Great success so far from this Dallas Cowboys team, but now, of course, like I mentioned, we've got to turn the page, get ready for the Seattle Seahawks team that is 6-5 and 7th in the NFC. Who do you need a big game from the Dallas Cowboys in order to get this win?
I have a few guys on my list right now, but let's go back to this Thanksgiving game because it did not get better for the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. In fact, they feasted on Thanksgiving against the Washington Commanders, and it was nothing short of entertaining from several players on both offense and defense. Dak Prescott, Kayvonte Turpin, and Deron Bland, of course, were my standouts. But as we look to the next game against the Seattle Seahawks, here is what I am looking for on the field. We have been seeing a lot of rotations on offense and some switches in the scheme recently. And this week, I am looking out for Jake Ferguson. Ferguson had 3 targets and 1 reception for 35 yards against the Commanders. And against the Panthers in week 3, receptions for a total of 32 yards. Ferguson was on a 3-game touchdown streak not long ago, so I'm looking for him to have at least 1 touchdown against the Seahawks. He has a total of 4 this season, but I'm really wanting to see that on-field connection that he has built with Dak so far during this next stretch of games. And for defense this week, while everyone is so hot on Deron Bland, I'm looking towards Jordan Lewis. Jordan Lewis has had 6 tackles against the Commanders and a total of 29 this season. I'm looking at guys like DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, who you already know are going to get really deep down the field. Lewis will need to read more of those tackle opportunities and get in more pass breakups. I've yet to see an interception from Lewis so far this year, so he's going to be really key for defense, I think, this week.
Yeah, I mean, but you like the way that this team is playing. They're clicking in all phases, right? But I need a score prediction from you. Who do you think has this game and will score?
I think it's going to be a very close game. Obviously, the Seahawks 6-5, they're pretty good. I'm going to go with a 27 win and Seahawks 24. So 27-24 Cowboys.
You're being generous. I don't know. This Seahawks team is struggling offensively. I know they haven't scored. They have 1 offensive touchdown. I think couldn't find the end zone against the 49ers. I think I'm going to say 31 Cowboys since they're at home, continuing that dominance. And the Seahawks, I'm going to go with 14. I think that's what I'm going to go with.
Okay. All right. We're going to see. We're going to see.
9-3 record for the Dallas Cowboys, because they have the Eagles coming up right after that. But we've got some more right here to wrap things up on Cowboys Flashback. Stick with us.
Dallas Cowboys Flashback, powered by Reliant, was brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, and by Reliant, an NRG company.
Less than 72 hours before the Dallas Cowboys kick off against the Seattle Seahawks. The 8-3 Cowboys looking to continue their dominance at home in AT&T Stadium, facing another struggling team, the 6-5 Seahawks, who sit 7th in the NFC. The Cowboys have home field advantage, riding a 13-game win streak, but they're facing a team that's lost 2 straight and desperate for a win right now to stay in the fight for a playoff spot. It'll be the first time these 2 teams have faced off since 2020. The Cowboys lost that one in Seattle, and the Cowboys have only won 1 game in the last 5 meetings with the Seahawks, and it will Also be a reunion for the Cowboys and former Dallas cornerback Kelvin Joseph. The Seahawks added him to the secondary on Sunday. And Cowboys ranked offense, their top-ranked offense against the Seahawks' 23rd ranked defense. Cowboys' 3rd ranked defense, allowing just 16.6 points per game against a Seattle team that's putting up 20 a game. Should be make up for a fun one for the boys in Arlington. That's a wrap right here on Cowboys Flashback. We'll see you next week.